Have you ever sat in your favorite chair, maybe with a cup of tea or coffee in hand, and thought to yourself, why does everything feel just a little heavier these days? Not just your body, but life itself. The expectations, the sacrifices, the constant pressure to give more, do more, be more, even after you've given so much for decades. If that sounds familiar, let me tell you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not wrong to feel that way. Turning 60 isn't the end of the road. It's a turning point. It's a season of life that should be marked not by giving up, but by taking back. Taking back your energy, your freedom, your peace, your time, and yes, your happiness. You see, after a lifetime of raising families, building careers, showing up for everyone else, it's finally time to show up for yourself. But here's the truth that many people won't say out loud. If you don't protect certain things at this stage of life, people, even the ones you love, may slowly take them away. Not always out of malice. Sometimes it's habit. Sometimes it's cultural. Sometimes it's just because they assume you're fine with it. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 12 essential things you must protect if you want to live strong, free, and happy after 60. And I don't mean someday. I mean starting today, right now. Let's talk. The first and most urgent thing you need to protect is your health. Not in the vague, yeah, I should walk more kind of way. I mean fiercely, unapologetically protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Too many people over 60 skip doctor appointments because they're too busy watching the grandkids or too worried about saving money for someone else. They forget to eat well because they're cooking what others like. They sacrifice sleep to meet everyone else's needs. But let me ask you this. What happens when your body finally says, that's enough? Here's the hard truth. No one can take your medications for you. No one can go on that walk for you. No one can sleep your hours or fight your stress for you. When your body breaks down, you are the one who suffers, not the people you're trying to please. So, let go of the guilt. Make your checkups a priority. Choose meals that fuel your strength, not just your taste buds. Take that walk, stretch those muscles, sit in the sun, and breathe. Stop thinking of health as a luxury. It's your foundation now. And without it, you can't enjoy anything else. And don't let anyone tell you it's selfish to put your health first. It's not. It's survival. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked, even by people who mean well, your independence. Just because you're over 60 doesn't mean you've lost your ability to think, choose, and act. Yet somehow, people start talking louder around you, making decisions without asking or assuming you need help before you even say so. It may seem small at first. Someone takes over your grocery shopping, your finances, your daily choices. But over time, those helpful habits can become controlling. And before you know it, you've lost your voice in your own life. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't accept help when it's needed. We all have times when support is a blessing. But what I am saying is this: don't give up your independence unless you absolutely have to. Whether it's choosing your meals, managing your money, or deciding how to spend your day, keep your hands on the wheel as long as you can. Because independence isn't just about physical tasks, it's about dignity. And when you hold on to your independence, you hold on to the feeling that your life is still yours. So, cook your meals if you love cooking. Go for walks when you feel like walking. Handle your bills if you're able. Ask for help when needed, but never let anyone assume they know better than you just because you're older. Every small act of independence is an act of strength. And the more you protect that strength, the more vibrant your spirit stays. Now let's talk about the third thing, and it might be the most sensitive. Your financial stability. You've worked for decades. You've saved. You've sacrificed vacations, luxuries, and comfort so your children, your family, and even your community could thrive. And now that you're retired, or maybe thinking about it, your finances should finally be a source of peace, a safety net, a well-deserved reward. But here's where it gets tricky. Family can be persuasive. Adult children might struggle. Friends might come asking, and the guilt? Oh, it can be heavy. You might hear yourself saying, "It's just a loan," or "They need it more than I do." But remember this: your retirement savings, your property, your pension, they are not just money. They are your shield. Your shield against future dependence, against stress, against humiliation. You don't get a second chance at rebuilding a nest egg when you're in your 70s. Once it's gone, it's gone. And let's be real, when you run out of money, it's often the same people who once asked for it who end up treating you like a burden. So, be generous with wisdom. Be cautious with your giving. If someone truly loves you, they won't pressure you to sacrifice your security. They'll support your decision to protect it. Watch your accounts. Keep control of your assets. Be thoughtful about joint ownership, inheritance decisions, and loans that may never return. You don't owe anyone your future, because financial freedom isn't just about wealth. It's about peace of mind. And peace, my friend, is something you've earned. So as you move through this powerful stage of life, remember this: your health, your independence, your finances, these aren't just personal matters. They're pillars. And when you guard them fiercely, you give yourself the freedom to live this chapter with strength, dignity, and joy. It's funny, isn't it? When we were younger, peace of mind seemed like a luxury, something to enjoy on vacation, maybe during the quiet moments after the kids went to bed. But now, at this stage of life, peace of mind isn't a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. It's the very oxygen of your day. There comes a time when you realize that drama, noise, and emotional chaos just don't fit in your life anymore. Whether it's family arguments that go in circles, friends who always bring negativity, or even those guilt trips that make you feel like you're never doing enough. You've earned the right to step away. And it's not about being cold or cutting people off. It's about choosing calm over chaos, choosing stillness over shouting, and choosing your well-being over other people's endless emotional demands. That doesn't make you selfish, it makes you wise. Protecting your peace means walking away from things that make you restless at night. It means saying, "Not today," to conversations that leave you feeling drained. Sometimes it even means choosing silence over trying to explain yourself for the 100th time. You don't have to win every argument. You don't need to justify your decisions. At 60 and beyond, peace is your most sacred currency. And guess what? You've earned every bit of it. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not pull you down. Create space that feels calm, not chaotic. Whether it's a tidy home, a quiet morning routine, or just a walk outside without checking your phone, build a life that lets you breathe. Because when your mind is at peace, your body follows. Your sleep improves. Your energy returns. Your smile gets a little easier. And suddenly, everything feels a little lighter. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. Your voice. You've spent a lifetime making decisions, raising kids, solving problems, working hard, and gaining real-life wisdom. Yet somehow, society tends to treat people over 60 as if their opinions no longer matter. It's subtle at first. People talk over you. They make decisions without asking for your input. They assume you're set in your ways or just old-fashioned. But let me tell you this. Your voice isn't just important. It's powerful. You have something no one else has: experience, perspective, insight that only comes from living through real storms. And that kind of wisdom, it deserves to be heard. Don't let anyone make you feel invisible. Speak up at the dinner table. Share your opinions when decisions are being made. Let your children and your grandchildren hear your stories, your advice, your truths. If they listen, wonderful. If they don't, speak anyway. Because your words carry weight, whether they realize it or not. And I want to say something especially to those who've been made to feel too much, too outspoken, too opinionated, too emotional. You are not too much. You are enough. And your voice matters just as much today as it did when you were raising your family or leading in your career. You don't need to shout to be heard. Speak with calm confidence, with grace, with the authority of someone who's walked a long, hard road and still stands tall. Because when you speak from your truth, others rise to meet you. Now let's talk about joy. Real joy. Not the kind that's tied to big vacations or fancy celebrations, though those are lovely too. I'm talking about the kind of joy that sneaks up on you during the little moments. The music you love humming in the background, the smell of something baking in the kitchen, the laughter during a silly TV show, the softness of a warm blanket on a cold morning. You'd be amazed how many people hit their 60s and 70s and feel like they're not allowed to enjoy life anymore. They worry about being seen as irresponsible or childish for dancing in the living room, playing games, singing out loud, or taking a nap just because it feels good. But joy is medicine. It is your daily vitamin for the soul. It keeps you light, keeps you curious, keeps you young where it matters most, in spirit. You have the right to smile, to laugh until your belly hurts, to do something just because it brings you pleasure, not because it's productive or expected. Whether it's gardening, painting, photography, cooking, knitting, volunteering, or walking in nature, joy is not optional. It's your lifeline. And don't let anyone make you feel guilty for putting joy first. If someone calls you selfish for skipping a stressful event or saying no to something that drains you, just smile and know you're choosing wisely. Because a joyful you is a healthy you, a peaceful you, a more alive you. You see, protecting your joy is not about ignoring the world's problems. It's about making sure you still have energy and light to face them. It's about honoring the life you've been given, with all its ups and downs, by choosing happiness wherever you can. So whether it's dancing barefoot in your kitchen or sipping coffee on the porch watching the sunrise, never underestimate the power of those tiny sparks of joy. They are your fire, your fuel, your reason to keep going when everything else feels hard. Protect your joy like it's the most precious thing in the world, because honestly, it is. Sometimes when you've spent your whole life putting others first, it can feel strange, even wrong, to set limits. But as you get older, limits aren't just helpful. They are essential. Let's talk about boundaries. Now, the word boundary might sound like a wall, but in reality, it's more like a fence with a gate, something that protects what's sacred while still allowing love to come through. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about making space for what matters. Your energy, your time, your sanity. After 60, you've likely noticed how expectations from others don't really go away. They just change. Maybe now it's adult children asking for help with grandkids. Maybe it's relatives expecting you to be available at all hours. Or maybe it's friends who always seem to need something but never give anything back. And let's be honest, some people are simply used to taking advantage of your kindness. But here's what you need to remember. Kindness without boundaries leads to burnout. Love without limits leads to resentment. And you deserve better than that. Setting a boundary can be as simple as saying, "No, I can't do that today." Or, "I need a few hours to myself." Or, "I'd rather not have that conversation right now." You don't have to explain, justify, or feel guilty. Your peace is reason enough. Some people won't like it. That's okay. Let them adjust. People who truly respect and love you will understand. They might even admire you for standing up for yourself. And if they don't, well, that tells you something too. Because at this stage in life, you don't need to spend your precious energy trying to please everyone. You need to spend it protecting your heart, your health, and your happiness. Now, let's talk about something that's close to the heart for many of us: dreams. Some people think dreams are only for the young, that once you hit 60 you should just settle down and be content. But I completely disagree. Your dreams don't have an expiration date. Whether it's traveling to a place you've always wanted to see, learning a new language, starting a small business, picking up painting, writing that book you've had in your head for years. If the dream is still in your heart, it still belongs to you. You might hear things like, "You're too old for that," or "Why start now?" But the truth is, why not now? If not now, when? Dreams keep your spirit alive. They give you purpose, something to reach for, something that lights you up inside. And it doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. Even small dreams, growing tomatoes in your backyard, adopting a pet, joining a dance class. Those little things can make every day more meaningful. Don't let anyone convince you that wanting more is selfish, childish, or unrealistic. You've spent your life sacrificing. You've earned the right to dream boldly, unapologetically. And remember, sometimes just pursuing the dream, even if it doesn't turn out exactly as you pictured, is what brings the joy. It's the doing that counts. The trying, the learning, the spark of something new. So go ahead. Pick up that paintbrush. Take that first step. Revisit that bucket list. Life didn't stop at 60. In many ways, it's just beginning again, this time on your terms. Now let's move into something a little deeper, a little more personal. Your beliefs. Faith, spirituality, values, whatever name you give it, they matter more than ever as the years go on. Not because life is getting easier, but because it often becomes more uncertain. Health changes. Family dynamics shift. The world moves fast. And sometimes it can feel like everything is spinning without control. In those moments, your beliefs are your anchor. They're what hold you steady when everything else feels shaky. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's simply the quiet conviction that life has meaning, even when it's messy. Whatever it is for you, it deserves to be protected. Don't let anyone mock your faith or pressure you to let it go. People might say, "Oh, you're too rigid," or "That's outdated thinking." But those same people haven't walked in your shoes. They haven't lived your story. They don't know what your faith has carried you through. And when you've seen hard times, really lived through loss, fear, illness, loneliness, you come to realize that belief isn't just a comfort. It's a lifeline, a reason to get out of bed, a reason to forgive, a reason to hope. Whether your spiritual practice involves attending church, lighting candles, walking in nature, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts, do it. Guard it. Let it ground you, renew you, and strengthen you. Because a body may grow older, but a soul fed by faith stays vibrant. And don't ever apologize for it. Let's take a moment to talk about something deeply personal: your self-worth. It's strange how, even after all the years we've lived, all the things we've accomplished, all the people we've cared for, the world can still try to make us feel like we're not enough, that we're too old, too slow, too out of touch. But here's the truth that no one can take away from you. You are not less. You are more. You are more experienced, more resilient, more insightful. You have survived things others will never understand. You've built a life, maybe raised children, helped others, worked hard, given more than you ever got back, and you're still standing. Your worth isn't measured by how much you can still do. It's not about how fast you walk, how many errands you run, or how much you can give. Your worth is in your presence, in your story, in the way you show up even when it's hard, in the strength it takes to keep going, even when no one sees it. Don't let anyone, not family, not society, not even that little voice in your own head, tell you you've become a burden. You are not a burden. You are a blessing. Walk into every room with your head held high. Speak with the authority of someone who has lived through decades of change, challenge, and transformation. You have earned your place. You don't need to shrink for anyone. Because when you stand in your self-worth, the world starts to respond differently. People respect you more. You respect yourself more. You begin to attract peace, joy, and connection, not out of demand, but out of quiet confidence. And if there are people in your life who try to tear you down, who ignore you, dismiss you, or treat you like you're in the way, that says more about them than it does about you. You deserve to be treated with dignity, every day, in every interaction. And that starts by believing it yourself. So protect that belief like it's the most sacred treasure you own, because it is. Now, as we bring all of this together, I want you to pause and breathe with me for a second. Just sit with this question. What kind of life do I want to live from here forward? Not what others expect, not what tradition says, but what you want. Because this part of life isn't about endless sacrifice anymore. It's about living fully, living freely, living deliberately. You've spent decades giving so much of yourself to others. And while that love, that effort, that service, it all mattered, now it's time to turn that same love inward, to guard the pieces of you that matter most. Your health, your independence, your peace, your voice, your joy, your boundaries, your dreams, your beliefs, your worth. When you protect those things, you don't become selfish. You become whole. You become someone who walks with intention, someone who chooses rest over resentment, calm over chaos, love over obligation, wisdom over guilt. You begin to say yes to things that light you up and no to things that drain you. You begin to live like your time matters, because it does. You begin to realize that your life still holds so much potential, not just for existing, but for thriving. So go ahead, wake up tomorrow and do something that feels good to your body, your mind, or your spirit. Take the walk, read the book, call the friend, say the prayer, set the boundary, speak the truth, sing out loud, laugh too much, say no or say yes, whatever feels true to you. Because here's the beautiful thing. When you protect what matters, life starts to feel lighter. Not because the challenges go away, but because you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations on your back. You're choosing to live your life. And let me tell you, that's the most powerful thing you can do after 60. So, if this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What have you learned to protect in this season of life? What are you still learning to let go of? And if no one's told you this lately, you matter. You are valuable. You are strong. And your best days can still be ahead. If this message spoke to your heart, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, Strong Elderly Life, for more inspiration, wisdom, and strength to help you live your golden years with pride and purpose. Thank you for spending this time with me. Here's to protecting what matters most and to living your best life at any age.